Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am just another tinfoil hat. Welcome to my monthly book review. Today, we are going to be discussing the fantastic book Mothman, Behind the Red Eyes, The Complete Investigative Library by Jeff Wamsley. Now, truly, this book is a treat for anyone who is interested in Mothman. The first thing to stand out, in my opinion at least, is just simply how multifaceted it is. I mean, not only do you have eyewitness encounters, which I'm going to be returning to in a second because seriously fantastic. But you also have newspaper clippings, magazine articles, photos, illustrations. There is a lot of info organized here in a truly fun and easy to read format. The extensive visuals are just awesome too, because, for the photos especially, you get a sense of place, where these anomalous encounters occurred, as well as such landmarks of the Silver Bridge. There are even photos of the collapse, which, I mean, it's just really harrowing and visceral to see that. Now, as multifaceted as the media itself is, you also have this amazing blend of content. There's not simply a focus on one particular theme or item of interest or theory or aspect of this case. Really, it kind of strings together these encounters with the anomalous, which in and of themselves are a mixed bag. I mean, you have the Mothman, you have the UFO sightings, encounters with men in black. So it strings together all of these anomalous encounters with a look at these events from a kind of more cultural perspective, including some examples of Mothman in pop culture, which I always love that tie-in. Now, perhaps most importantly, too, there is a great deal of time spent in this book discussing the Silver Bridge collapse. And I think that that is really important to place that event in a spot of prominence whenever you're discussing Point Pleasant. I mean, so often it's kind of just, when you're coming at this from the perspective of focusing on the anomalies, focusing on the Mothman and the UFOs, it's kind of just seen as this climax to those infamous 13 months between November of 1966 and December of 1967, when in reality, this was a tragedy that affected an entire community. It claimed people's lives. It changed many, many people's lives. And so to see the collapse discussed in such detail, I mean, there's articles dealing with what really happened. There's a particularly haunting eyewitness account of a man who saw the collapse. There's discussion on what really caused the collapse. Again, you don't often see this event given as much weight as it was in this book. And I really think that it's a very, very important thing to recognize that this was a massive tragedy. This was a huge deal. And so I really can't say enough how much I appreciate the fact that Wamsley gives so much attention to this event. And mentioning those infamous 13 months, the 1966 to 67 flap, I have to note that he also mentions that sightings of a strange winged being are by no means restricted to that particular time frame. Again, so often it's kind of billed as, well, there was all this weird stuff going on for 13 months, then the bridge fell and it kind of ended, but that's really not the case, which is truly intriguing. Now, for me, too, one of the absolute best things about this book has got to be the eyewitness interviews. I've mentioned this before in some of my videos, in conjunction with Anomalous Encounters, that really, they get put through the ringer after so many years of appearing in this publication or that one, to the point that sometimes it is really hard to sift through and figure out, okay, what did the witness actually see? Which is why the interviews in this book are truly such a precious resource. As an example, one of my absolute favorites is the interview with Merle Partridge, who of course was one of the first witnesses to an anomaly resembling the Mothman. Again, not really the Mothman, but it was a very interesting encounter in mid-November of 1966. Now, of course, he's perhaps better known as Newell Partridge due to a pesky misprinted birth certificate that made its way into most of the literature, though perhaps he's best known as the owner of Bandit, the missing German Shepherd. So his interview really pins down certain facts about his encounter, which otherwise would have been lost. I also love these eyewitness accounts because it gives you such kind of a personal background of what these people were doing prior to their encounter, just kind of a normal day in their lives when suddenly they were confronted with the unknown. So again, Jeff Wamsley's Mothman Behind the Red Eyes, The Complete Investigative Library. I cannot recommend this book enough. It's a fantastic resource. And again, it handles these particular events from so many different angles. I just absolutely love it. So if you enjoyed this review of Jeff Wamsley's Mothman Behind the Red Eyes, please like, and if you're new to this field of crop circles, go ahead and subscribe to see what weirdness the future may have in store. Till then, you can keep up with whatever else I might possibly have going on my website, justanothertinfoilhat.com, and for exclusive content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, which is also listed under, if you can believe this, Just Another Tinfoil Hat. For today, I am Zelia Edgar, signing off.
Doing.